I am both so pissed off, that's the right word, with Honda and Acura right now, and so extremely happy with the brand that I don't know what to do with myself. Much, if not much, 99% of my psychosis right now has to do with this car. Well, not entirely 100% with this car, but almost. This, by the way, is a 2022 Honda Civic Si. And just before I go on, why I feel entitled to be pissed off and angry and happy is because, well, I own a few Hondas at home, including a 2021 Civic Type R, which I bought last summer. And I've been a fan of the Honda brand. It's almost impossible as a car enthusiast to not at one point in the last at least 35 years, to not have fallen in love with everything that the brand has done in the automotive industry for efficiency purposes, for driving enthusiasts, for design, they've gone over it. See, this is what happens, right? I get passionate about this brand. Now, what's pissing me off right now is that Honda, Acura, wants to rebadge this thing, is gonna rebadge, production has already started, is rebadging this car and calling it the Acura Integra. I've written about it a few times on Motor Illustrated, and for the most part, I completely disagree with that because it sets expectations at a level that cannot and will not be met by the Integra, by those who remember the Integra. Yeah, I know. Acura, Honda said that, oh, it's for a new generation of blah, blah, blahs. But the fact of the matter is, I forget the exact proportion now, but many, if not most, of the reservations for the Integra are for the manual transmission models, which to me says that it's enthusiasts and people who understand the car that are buying the car. But that car was probably not destined for them. So there's a miss there. Thing is also, and this will be interesting to follow up if Honda/Acura actually follow through and let us know. The problem, one of the many problems, is that in Canada at the very least, if you want essentially a rebadged Civic Si with the Integra logo on it and the Integra badge on it, with a manual transmission, you're gonna have to pay well in excess of $42,000 or $43,000, give or take, which is nuts, because this starts at just over $33,000, which is kind of a little bit of a problem as well. Yeah. I'm all over the place with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to elaborate on a few points as to why. Well, I love this car. I absolutely love this car because it's the exact Honda Civic Si it needs to be, and why there's a few things about it that make me happy going forward, and well, that still kind of upsets me, but not at the same time. Okay, so let's just get right into the thick of things. I mean, the 11th generation Civic is beautiful. I mean, amongst all of the compact cars available in Canada right now, the base Civic, just a regular Civic, is by far the best sorted visually, the classiest, the prettiest, the most grown-up of them all. And I say this having just returned from driving the new or revised Mark 7.5 Jetta and its facelift. Despite my typical, penchant for the Volkswagen product, I mean, I do obviously clearly love the Honda product. This is just the best looking of them all. I mean, I think you have to agree with me. And when you get up to the SI trim, well, you get, I think you saw that, dual tailpipes, the spoiler right there, all the black trim, these 18-inch wheels, and the front end is far more aggressive. So great looking car. All right, so pricing in the US, $27,500 gets you the base car. If you want higher speed rated tires, $200 more, In Canada, you only get them with the regular W speed rating tires for $33,750. Right away, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's like $5,000 more than the first 10th generation SI, which was introduced, I believe, in 2017, with not any more kit or power. But that's not really the big issue. The big issue is that the Jetta GLI, which I just drove, with more power, more features, more options, so on and so forth, is about $2,000 cheaper. $2,000 cheaper. And then when it gets really ugly, the WRX with a lot more power and all-wheel drive is priced about the same. So that's just not cool. But I'm still kind of happy about it, because if I work out the math, which I know I can't, that means that the next 11th generation Civic Type R is probably going to be a solid $52,000 car, which will make my FK8 seem like a bargain when I bought it brand new. Okay. Well, a bargain, kind of. Anyway, point is that this car is still very well equipped for the price. A 9-inch touchscreen, there's a big digital IP, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, sports seats, Bose audio, heated steering wheel, the 18-inch wheels with spoilers, the drive modes, helical, limited slip LSD, excuse me, limited slip LSD, I got that, limited slip differential, 1.5 turbo, and a bunch of other stuff. It is a very pretty car. Oh, and by the way, blazing orange pearl really works for this car, and that's a nice thing too, because the Civic is available in some colors, including rally red, which would do wonders for this car as well. Okay, so let's slide aboard. Well, actually, just before. 408 liters, large opening, good trunk. Like the 10th generation Civic, the 11th generation Civic is immense on the inside. There's tons of room for 2, maybe even 3 adults across. The kids have plenty of room, visibility is good, yada, yada, yada. That's that. Okay, so unlike the 10th generation Civic Si, these seats actually look a lot more serious, but they offer at least as much, if not more, lateral support on top, on the bottom. They're very comfortable. Nice materials in the door cards. I mean, this is Honda doing what Honda does well. And on a quick shot of the dashboard, that puts the Jetta's dashboard to shame. And it puts my 10th generation Type R's dashboard. I mean, this is beautiful. Now let's just get on board. This is absolute class. Let's make sure it's not in gear. Absolute class. Look at the vents. It's so simple yet so intricate at the same time. It's beautiful. So there's your IP, which is really nice. I can't get over the vents and the red line. It's just, everything is beautiful. HVAC, I think I mentioned that, eh? HVAC, exactly what you need. Some buttons and some rotary knobs. This. Oh, it's so Honda. I love it. Okay, so here's the important new stuff. Drive modes. Contrary to the previous Si, in this car you have 3 drive modes. The previous was sport on off. That's it. So sport and individual from the first one, normal. Okay. So individual is obviously customizable, and you can customize these 3 settings, because this Type Si does not have adaptive dampers. I'll touch on that in a second. But this tells me, though, that the next Type R will have damping and various different settings, which my FK8 does not have. So that's going to be a big advantage, I think, to the new Type R. I'm getting ahead of myself. What else can I say? Storage is decent, very Honda-like. Works out beautifully. Visibility is good. This is not really, important. But look, it's just a great place to get to work and drive. And driving is what this car does best. Okay, just before I go on with a few driving impressions, I've received, I should say, a few comments about my driving position in the cars that I drive. I do typically have a very close driving position. I like to be very square with the steering wheel and having my elbows bent as much as possible. I mean, when you're driving, if you go, this is as far as you can turn anyway, so you don't need to have your arms fully extended. The point is that in the Civic Si, it's it's even closer. Even I feel like it's ridiculously close, but I am wearing a very puffy kind of half coat right now, so it looks even closer than I actually am. Point is, though, that the Civic Si wants to get intimate with its driver. And that's probably one of the things that I love the most about this car. Because, and this is what I was trying to touch on in my opening sequence, is that this car is not for everyone. And that applied to the 10th generation Si and even some of the previous generations of the Civic Si. And that's contrary to the Jetta GLI, which can be the sporty compact sedan for almost everyone. This one cannot. Because it wants to get close to you, wants to be close to you. And okay, 1.5 liter. So things are going to go up and down from here on in, okay? I'm warning you. Anyway, if you've watched 2 or 3 of my videos, I'm sorry and thank you. But look, the up/downside to this car is the 1.5 liter 4-cylinder engine. Produces 200 horsepower at 6,000 RPM, so just 500 RPM shy of the red line, and 192 pound-feet of torque between 1,800 RPM and 5,000 RPM. So in your mind, in my mind, I read these numbers and I'm like, oh, this thing is going to pull so hard nonstop. It's going to be incredible. The thing is that it does pull, but it doesn't pull hard. It makes a lot of noise, which wants me to think that this is like a naturally aspirated, I don't know, 6th or 7th or 8th generation Civic Si, but it's just not. The thing is, it feels quick initially, but the power, despite holding, it just feels like it tapers off. It's like the 1.5 runs out of breath fairly quickly. Whereas a 2-liter TSI in the Jetta GLI just gives you lazy, easy torque almost all the time and always the right amount of power. This feels high-strung. The 1.5 feels like a Honda engine in the sense that it's always on. Like it's at 9/10 from the very beginning, and I love that. But I hate it at the same time. Some of the best things about this car is this manual transmission. The shift is interesting. It's not quite as satisfying and mechanical as in my Type R, but it's so close, which means that the next Type R is going to carry on, the torch of these magnificent manual transmissions put together by Honda engineers, like the S2000. Oh, good Lord. And then the helical LSD is just superb. I mean, you put your foot down with a little bit of steering input in, and you can just feel the car. It just wants to take you through, and it's so kind and nice. And I mean, there's no torque steer. It just feels so good. By the way, the 10th generation Si had 205 horsepower, so this is down 5. The 10th generation Civic Si also had adaptive or adaptable dampers, if you will. In other words, via the drive modes, like my Type R, you could adjust the dampening. Right? So if you were normal, they were normal. If you were in sport, they were in sport, and so on and so forth. The 11th generation Si does not have adaptive dampers. So, 5 years later, they want $5,000 more, and they're taking stuff away. And the adaptive dampers are a real bummer. But somehow, like for the Type R, the Honda engineers managed to find that fine line between discomfort and comfort, and just tune the chassis right along that line. This thing is never harsh. See, it's quick, but it's not fast. The Jetta GLI feels a lot pushier, or with a lot more thrust than this, but it doesn't feel like this. What I'm trying to say is with the chassis, and this compared to the multiple adaptive damping settings in the GLI, even in sport in the Jetta GLI, or the sportiest version, it doesn't feel this alive, this responsive, this agile, this just in tune with what I want to do. I mean, it's close to my Type R, but not quite. I mean, the first thing you notice when you drive off with this car, I'm going on, I apologize, is how heavy the steering is. And it's so heavy that I've been keeping it in normal the whole time. I'm just gonna go back into sport. See, sport feels artificially enhanced, which is, I can't stand it. So normal is still really heavy. There's very little difference except for the immediate on-center feel. Oh, the best part about this car is the way it drives. Oh yeah, and the exhaust is a lot louder than I remember the other one being, which is kind of misleading because you're not going as fast as the exhaust tells you you are, or wants to let you know you are. Anyhow, the point is, you don't buy the SI for the speed. That, if you want speed, you get the GLI or WRX. You buy this car for the absolute, almost unfiltered driving experience, for the manual transmission. And throttle response is good, but even in sport, it's really not that. I'm looking for my buttons. There you go, sport. It's not. It's good, but it's not, I don't know. Throttle response is still good, but again, you don't buy this car for the speed. You buy it for the drive. It's kind of like a Miata in the sense that it's underpowered for the chassis and the structure, which is probably one of the greatest things engineers have figured out in order to put a real smile and experience real speed. I'm pretty sure I've done nothing good in this entire video trying to shine that tiny little flashlight on what I'm trying to say about this car, but it's so excellent. But it's only for certain specific people. Most people wanting more power. But I cannot wait to drive the new Civic Type R. And I know, obviously, that Acura, is going to introduce a Type S version of the Integra with a 2-liter turbo from the Type R, and it's going to be mind-blowingly good. But if it's $55,000 or $56,000, no. Anyway, that's it. I'm done. Thank you for your time.